Hey guys, it's Olivie Blake, and this is me not writing. So, as you can see, my dog will be joining me. Mr. Blake and I spontaneously rearranged our home, and now I am unsure where to film. The light is very difficult for me to predict, / I really didn't do all that well in photography, so all of this is extremely questionable, and welcome. Also, there is a lot of construction going on outside, and there is a construction worker who keeps spontaneously breaking into song, so I do not know if that is going to be on this recording. But I'm here, you're here, my dog is here, he is asleep. He's deeply uninterested in this. I also could not find the wine glass that I wanted that's like, now there's an airplane, a slightly smaller wine glass. Instead, I'm using this one. It says, "It's not drinking alone if your dog is home," which, as you can see, he is, and he seems to have no problem with this. What should we start with? The Lover's Grimm, of course. As you know, The Lover's Grimm is now available. I mentioned that the paperback is a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be. There are a few more words in the story than I initially intended. It's because of the last story, really. The last story is definitely one of my favorites, but also much longer than I thought it was going to be. Kill the Bachelor. I'm actually very excited about the new Charlie's Angels because it's kind of exactly, the characters in Kill the Bachelor are a little bit similar to the ones in the new Charlie's Angels, so I'm excited about that. It's like real life Allie B and Mel. Yeah. Thank you to those of you who have been really enthusiastic about it so far. It's a little spicier than the other collections. In general, it is. And yeah, I'm just really excited about those of you who have already told me that you enjoyed it, and I hope you like it. This month for Spell, Betsy Priolo talks about Colette in her Seductress book, and the new movie about Colette just came out with Keira Knightley. So we're doing, I don't know if that's adjusting. There. Cherie, it is, as you can see, deeply erotic, I presume. I was kind of caught between reading Claudine and this one. Claudine is a little bit more, it's a Bildungsroman. However you pronounce that word. It's becoming clear to me that I struggle a little bit with pronunciation. I'm one of those girls that was like always knows in a book, and so most of the words I know are because I read them, so I don't know how to say them. Anyway, very excited about this. Don't know what to say yet because I haven't started reading it, but this is our book for the month, and recommended by Betsy herself, who I got to talk to, which was really exciting. So again, I hope you liked Seductress. Find the post on Tumblr if you'd like to weigh in on what you read. And yeah. Oh, also don't forget, so we've started collecting a list of sex books. That's how we do. So romance, but books that do have at least some explicit sex in it. So we're putting everything into a database, and then you'll be able to see whether or not it is recommended. You'll be able to see when or if sex actually happens. This is something that is obviously very crucial. Some of us are here for the sex scenes, and it's always disappointing when you read a romance book that doesn't have any sex in it, or the sex in it is not very good, right? A lot of times that's what we've come to the book for. So this is what it's for. It may be a very great book that you recommend, but we still want to know whether or not there's sex in it. So yeah. Okay. Hi, Olivie. I need your advice on something. I low-key hate my day job. I love writing. I'm working on my second novel, and I just need more time to write and research. Sorry, there is hammering outside. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but we'll see. I'm on the verge of moving cities. It depends on me, and I'm torn whether I should just quit my job, move back to my hometown with my boyfriend, and try writing for a few months. Do you think that's irresponsible? I want to do it, but I'm unsure because what if it all fails and I starve? Gonna be super real with you. You can't just quit your job and have nothing on the horizon. Hopefully all the stuff that I've talked about has kind of indicated that that's not a thing you can technically do. First of all, I think it's a great idea. If you want to quit your job to finish your novel, that's fine. I think that's perfectly fine. But the querying process is very long. It takes weeks for agents to get back to you. If they ask you for a full manuscript, they are allowed to basically hold on to it. They're allowed to basically hold on to it for 3 months before you can even ask them, hey, have you read my manuscript? So this is a very lengthy process. It's one thing to finish your book, but then to start to make money off your book is going to take a really long time. Because if you want to do it traditionally, you have to find an agent. That's a long process. Then you have to find an editor. An editor has to pick it up from your agent, and then it has to go into production, and you go through the actual editing process. So say, best case scenario, you take some time to write your book, you find an agent on the first try. Impossibly rare, it seems like. But say this happens to you. You find an agent on the first try, they find an editor, they've got an editor on speed dial who's ready to print your book. It's still gonna be about a year. And you're a debut author, which means that you're not gonna make more than I think the number I've heard is about 30,000. If you're an American, that is taxed very highly. So almost half of that is going to get taxed. So that doesn't leave you with a whole lot to live on. So the reason I'm saying this is just realistically speaking, and if you want to self-publish this book, you're not going to start to make money off that for a long time because you've got to build a digital platform, which I don't know, you might be better at it than me. I'm not fantastic at it because I hate talking about my own stuff. I'm really bad at publicizing myself. The point is, you've got a long road ahead of you before you start to make money as an author, so you still need a day job. And that's not just you, I need a day job too. I have other things going on, and I have plans in the works because even if I succeed as an author, even if someone picks up a whole series for me tomorrow, it's still not a whole lot of money. And I don't know what your living situation is like. It sounds like you're single, well, boyfriend, but single, no kids, no one's dependent on you. So sure, this is probably a good time to do it. But you still need to have some idea what you want to do when you're done writing. You got to have something. I think you probably should quit your day job. It sounds like you don't like what you do. And the fact that you could move somewhere else and get a different job is pretty promising. And I think there's nothing wrong if you have enough savings to take a couple of months off and finish your book. I think that's fine. However, just being realistic, being an author, there's no health insurance in that. There's no benefits in that. I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have a husband who worked for a public school district who has all the benefits that I could need. Why am I able to see a dentist or a doctor? Not because of anything I'm doing on my own, because I'm married to him. And I think you'll find that's true for a lot of authors who say that they could not have gotten started on their career if they didn't have someone supporting them like that. If it's not your significant other or your parents, then you have to support yourself, and writing isn't going to do it right away. So just a little bit of a harsh reality. I think it's a great idea if you want to follow your passions. I think that's amazing. And I think that clearly it's something you love. You've already written a book. That's great. But you want to kind of have an idea what you're going to do when that book is done. So someone asked me about my workout routine, which it changes a lot. So currently this is what I'm doing diet and exercise wise. I box and spar 2 to 3 times a week depending, and then I do about an hour of cardio twice a week. So for me, what I have been doing for the last couple weeks is I run about a mile to the gym, and then I do 15 minutes on the row machine, 15 minutes on the bike machine, and then 15 minutes on the treadmill, and then I run back. The running on the treadmill is a little bit redundant, but I mean, I'm already there, whatever. Also, they have those treadmills that are like you're on like a fake path wandering into the woods, and sometimes it's okay. There's so much noise. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing lately. I'm also doing intermittent fasting, which this is very difficult. So basically, I don't eat anything with calories in it, meaning I drink tea or coffee or water, and that's it, until noon. And then I can eat kind of whatever I want from noon till 6, but because that's such a short window, I usually only end up eating 2 meals. I eat once at noon and then dinner at like 5:30ish, and then I'm done. So then for the rest of the time, I am just burning fat. I don't know. Mr. Blake loves to do like science experiments on me. We've done a whole bunch of different diets. So I've done almost all of them. I've never cut gluten out because no thanks. I'm not interested in a life without gluten. I have cut dairy. I've done paleo. I was so moody on paleo that Mr. Blake just like shoved a piece of bread in my mouth and was like, eat this. And actually everyone I've ever seen on paleo gets like, that's when I had these friends, they were a couple and they started doing paleo and they just fought constantly. I don't know what it does to your mood, but it's hard to get used to. We were fruitarian for a little while, which worked for him, did not work for me. It's very good if you need to like athletically perform. I know that a lot of actors use it when they're training for films. God, this is driving me insane. I really hope this is gonna work out because if I have to re-record, I'm gonna kill someone. So anyway, the intermittent fasting, the thing that works about it, one, they're doing a lot of testing on what it does for, what is the word for making your life longer? I'm becoming dumber. There's so much noise going on around me. I'm just becoming dumber. But yeah, there have been some studies about whether intermittent fasting can make you live longer. They have not come to a conclusion on this, but it is a common study. And since you eat regularly, it's not like your body thinks it's starving, so it's not like it's shutting down or anything like that. That was one of the questions I had. But anyway, this is just something I'm doing because it is a little bit more sustainable. I mean, if I stick to this, this will be something I do for the rest of my life. This is the thing about diets, is that if they are working, they're not short diets. They're something you're going to do forever. So it is a little flexible in that sometimes I will break it and I will have breakfast, for example, if we're going somewhere for breakfast. And it doesn't really like offset the whole thing, not the way it does with the keto diet, where it's like if you eat something that's not on the keto diet, you kind of have to start all over. Anyway, that's just information. But the question was, your workout routine sounds so tiring. But the thing is, it's not, because I've been doing this for a long time and I've been doing different versions of this. When I first started really working out, seriously working out, I think I was probably doing 2 days of running and then 2 days of lifting. I think women tend to have a fear of lifting because they're afraid they're going to get very muscular or bulk very quickly. The thing is with that, you'll only bulk, and you can ask boys this too, this is true, you'll only bulk if you also eat a lot. So when you're lifting weights, you just have to be mindful of how much you're eating. You can't overeat. You will be hungrier, but you can't overeat. It's kind of it's a tricky balance. When I first started, I would never burn more than 300 calories at a time, just because if I did burn more than that, then I would get hungrier and then it was harder to maintain a good diet. And everything with diets is it's just a matter of math. It's just adding up calories. Obviously, those calories should be as healthy as they can be, but it's technically just a math equation. If you ate 1,200 calories of Snickers every day, you would maintain your weight probably. 1,200 I say is because that's about how much I should consume in a day. It's very depressing. So I just want to start with, yes, my workout is not, it might sound hard. It isn't really that difficult for me because I've been doing a variety of things for a long time. So like I said, I started with 2 days lifting, 2 days running, and not even a lot. I probably would not have run more than 2 or 3 miles at a time. And it's fine to like walk that too. Walking a mile is essentially going to burn the same amount of calories as running a mile because you're walking for longer. So it happens slower, but it's still happening. All of this is just a math thing. And I definitely have done harder workouts. There was at one point, I was doing 2 a day, like CrossFit workouts 5 times a week. And to tell you the truth, that didn't do much for me. That was not like my best period physically or anything. It was just a lot, and I just was hungry all the time. So it's just finding what works for you. I think if you're the kind of person, like I'm pretty social, so for me, going to my boxing class and sparring with the same people every week is enjoyable for me. It's something that I can stick to. Running by myself, not awesome. I don't really like training for things. I think if you're the sort of person who needs a goal, then yeah, you should absolutely train for a race or for a triathlon or something like that. If you're the kind of person who needs like benchmarks, there's tons of training plans and stuff to keep you on that. If you're someone like me who wants to be around other people, who wants to be on a schedule, classes and stuff work great for that. If you're the kind of person who wants to be in your own head or whatever, yoga, a lot of yoga is very meditative. Pilates, it just kind of depends on what you want. But the whole idea is that you're just in motion. Move your body and it's good for you. For me, I spend most of my day sitting at my desk writing on my computer. It's destroying my eyes and like probably the rest of my body. So I have to make a point to go to the gym or go do something. And there's always more fun things to do. There's like dance classes and stuff. There's a whole variety of things you could do if you want to start exercising. Just keep your expectations relatively low. Just think of it as move a little more than you usually do 2 to 3 times a week. And then bump that up, and then continue to bump that up. But, you know, I think for the average person, like working out in whatever workout, whatever works for you, 3 to 4 times a week is perfectly fine. There was actually one period of time, and I actually looked pretty good. I was just working out twice a week, but in enormous blocks. It was because my TRX class and my boxing class and sparring were all on the same days. So basically Tuesdays and Thursdays, I worked out in a block of like 4 hours. But you just want to think of it as a couple times a week, you are putting your body to use. So hopefully that's kind of like a low commitment way to look at it. Something that's doable if you're trying to get started. Some other questions: do you do any biking? I don't, but Mr. Blake bikes. I hate biking. I only do it on the stationary bike at the gym, and only because like I have to. I used to bike like from place to place in Chicago, but that's it. It's not my favorite thing. It hurts my back. The problem with biking for me is that in order to go on long bike rides, you need a bike setup that's comfortable, which can cost money. So I don't really want to do that. Second question: how do you keep doing this on holidays? Well, like I said, just think of it as moving your body in some way. So like if you walk a lot one day while you're on vacation or whatever, that still counts. Sure, it's not the gym, but it can be hard when you're traveling. I think if you're someone who's like a consultant and you travel a lot, that can be difficult. If your hotel doesn't have a gym or whatever, that can be hard. For that, I would recommend like TRX straps, something you can travel with, and you can always do like core workouts. Oh yeah, I try to do 15 minutes of core once a week. So it's basically intervals. It's like a minute plank and then a minute rest, or 30 seconds, something like a side plank that's harder to hold for a full minute, and then 30 seconds rest. Yeah, so there's stuff you can do without needing equipment. If you like to run, that's really probably easiest because that's something you could do at any time. Or walking too. Walking is really, you don't have to work hard, you just have to do something. You just have to move. If it's something like an occasional holiday, it's okay, it's a break your routine. You have to be comfortable with the idea that you can't just constantly work out the way you'd like to. But if it's something where you travel all the time, then yeah, then you have to come up with some way to be able to do it when you're traveling. Please talk about eating a more balanced diet. This one's tough because, okay, so this person hates eating vegetables. Usually I mix them up in stews and sauces so they're healthy, but I'm trying to eat more healthily lately. That's tough because I love vegetables. Usually my trick for when I'm preparing a meal is I try to make it as colorful as I can. So that's easier to do during the summer when there is more produce. But yeah, there should always be something green for dinner. I like to mix in, I think recently I just made like squash and cauliflower. Vegetables, I think it's possible maybe you don't know how to prepare vegetables. That's my hope, because I think vegetables are delicious. Put a little garlic and salt and pepper on anything and it's good. You could saute it, you can bake it. With the squash, for example, the other night I tossed butternut squash and cauliflower in a little bit of garlic and olive oil and salt and pepper and red chili flakes, and then I put it in the oven for like 30 minutes. Delicious. But I think you're doing the right thing by just adding it in. Spinach is really easy. Spinach you can add into anything and really not taste it very much. I always throw spinach into like pasta sauces and stuff because there's not, you don't really taste it. It's just kind of there. Yeah, you just want to, the more colorful something is, typically the more nutrients it has. So you just want to make a just focus on making a colorful meal and finding something that you like the way it's prepared. If you're able to grill something, grilled vegetables are super good and very easy. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of things like Brussels sprouts. You just have to prepare them correctly. Brussels sprouts are delicious. I make my Brussels sprouts, I slice them thinly and saute them with pancetta, which is like Italian bacon. And you don't really even have to add anything. You don't have to season at all. That stuff's delicious. people ask me to make Brussels sprouts all the time. So it might just be a matter of learning how to prepare vegetables in a way that you like. I would recommend, to everyone basically, I would recommend keeping sort of a food diary for a short period of time. For a week, write down everything you eat. Get like one of those food tracker apps. Don't change any of your behaviors. Just write down everything you eat and how many calories are in it. Because I bet you probably don't realize how many calories are in what you're eating. You should also prepare as much food at home as you can, because food that's made in restaurants has a lot more oils than you can see. There's a lot more calories involved than it looks like. And you don't really know how things are being prepared, so it's a little bit harder to know. That's just an aside. It can be very difficult to tell what's in food that's prepared for you by someone else. But anyway, so keep track of what you eat for like a week, and then stop tracking it. Keep track of what you eat for like a week. See how you did compared to how much you should be eating. Make some changes, track for another week, and then put the app away. And use what you know about how many calories are in orange juice, for example, to inform whether or not you choose to have orange juice that day, or how many snacks you eat, things like that. I am one of those incurable snackers. If there is a snack in front of me, if there's, some almond, I'm not going to eat a handful of almonds. I'm going to eat all the almonds. So I just don't allow myself to snack at all. I know that that's my personality. It's if I have a little, I'm going to want a lot. So I don't have any, and then I don't want any. It's great. And I'm also the kind of person who loves a good meal. I love to sit down, eat something that's delicious, something that I like, that I've wanted for, I thought about all day what I'm going to have for breakfast, and now I've prepared it for myself. And to me, that is enjoyable. So that's why there's so much noise. So yeah, so for me, having 2 good full meals a day is way more satisfying than just allowing myself to snack whenever, just because, again, it's all just a math equation. In terms of nutrients, if you're really having trouble getting your nutrients in, you can always take a supplement of some kind, vitamins if you need them. If you're already eating healthy, vitamins aren't going to do anything for you, because once you hit like a certain amount of vitamins and minerals, then after that point, you're just kind of peeing the rest of it out. Sorry, that was gross. So yeah, but if you're the kind of person who really hates vegetables or whatever and has a really hard time getting those nutrients in, then you can take vitamins if you wanted. But it's really not that hard to eat enough of them. It's surprising how little a serving actually is. I think just become a little bit more knowledgeable about diet in general. Just a little bit, knowing how much a serving is. A cup of rice, for example, is super small. So trying to figure out how many calories you actually eat versus how many calories you need to eat can help you decide how you eat. Does that make sense? And definitely always give yourself a day off, or don't be too strict with anything. If you're ever following a diet that's extremely strict, you're going to want to break it, or you're going to hate what you're doing. It's going to be terrible. So usually for me, I'll eat pretty healthy most of the week, and then I'll take a day where I will eat chicken fingers and have a beer, and it's whatever. It's just that's just what I need to do in order to get through the rest of the week eating as healthy as I can. Summer is a great time to start doing this because produce is not very expensive and it's really available. In the winter, it can be way harder to eat healthy, I think. In the winter is when you have to add your vegetables to stews and stuff, because otherwise it's not going to happen. But in the summer, you can super easily throw together a spinach salad with strawberries and slivered almonds. And there you go. You've got basically all the nutrients you need in a day. Throw in some grilled chicken, done. Amazing. I mean, your calorie intake, it changes if you burn. There's addition and subtraction here. There's what you put into your body, and then also what you burn when you exercise. So you might want to, when you're tracking your food, you might want to track your motion as well. And there's a lot of ways to add motion into your day. You can take a walk away from your computer for a few minutes and go outside or something. Again, summer is really the time to start establishing good diet exercise habits, because it's just much nicer. It's way harder to be healthy in the winter, just in general. So you might want to build these healthy habits now so that going into the winter, it's not so much of an effort to get yourself to the gym or to get yourself to eat broccoli. So I guess that would be my advice. I had one more question, but I'm going to table it for now because there's so much noise going on outside that I'm going a little bit crazy. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have more questions about diet and exercise, it's just such a big topic that I don't really know that I could cover it, all of it. But hopefully that helps. Feel free to ask me more questions if you have more questions. Cherie for this month, The Lover's Grimm, now available. I'm very excited. If I could ask you, if you haven't and you haven't reviewed, a review would be really, really important to me. You did hear me talk earlier about how much writers get paid, which is not very much. I know that J.K. Rowling has a lot of it, but a lot of other writers don't. And this is all, I mean, yeah, this is the other thing, is this isn't even just true for me. This is true for all writers, that not a lot of them are making millions. So the little things you can do, like leaving Amazon reviews or leaving reviews on Goodreads, pre-ordering things when they're available, this is all just great stuff you can do to support writers. It's something I've had to become knowledgeable about, and now I'm passing that on to you. This has been me, Olivie Blake, not writing, and I'll see you next week.